my friends, I hope you're having a lovely day, and in today's video I'm gonna talk to you about Creature in the Well because I've been playing Creature in the Well, and if you haven't been following what this game is, it's a little hard to describe. It's been called a hack and slash pinballer. It's been called a pin brawler, and both of those are true, I guess. Let me try and make a little more sense of it for you. I would liken it to a Legend of Zelda game if you just focus in on the dungeons. So, dungeons in traditional Zelda games, I guess you'd look more towards that. Well, really, traditional Zelda games, 2D or 3D, doesn't matter. The dungeons are full of enemies and puzzles. Creature in the Well has a very large focus on puzzles in its dungeons. Pretty much each room is a puzzle. Some are very simple and straightforward, some are a little more sophisticated, and you have to take a moment to figure out what exactly the game wants you to do. But yeah, you're solving puzzles and making your way through dungeons that branch off into different areas and have secret spots that you may or may not find, and they'll hide upgrades for your character. So if you like the gameplay of Zelda and you also like pinball, then maybe Creature in the Well is going to be for you. The gameplay segment you're seeing here is from the first hour of the game, really like the first 45 minutes or something like that, but I don't know what section I'm going to show you. I'm going to decide that after I'm done recording this audio, so hopefully whatever I show you isn't too annoying as far as me getting stuck. I got hung up a couple times, but nothing big by any means. But that actually leads me into a little bit of discussion I want to have about not a mechanic, but an element of Creature in the Well that I really like. Creature in the Well so far doesn't really do a lot of explaining to you. You get a generic idea from some of the characters as to what's going on story-wise, but the game doesn't go out of its way to be like, do this to open this door, do this to activate this thing. It kind of lets you feel your way through it. And boy, do I really appreciate when a game does that, because we really don't get much of that nowadays. There are a couple like little tidbits in here that teach you very basic mechanics, but when it comes to the puzzle solving, making your way through the dungeon, that's pretty much left up to you. And I really love that. That might be something that annoys people because today's games tend to, I think, in my opinion, over-explain things to players and doesn't give them a chance to figure things out on their own or get lost. And I guess that's because they're afraid they're going to frustrate players too easily. So, you know, it became a trend however many years ago, and now nobody wants to cut back on it because they, you know, today's players aren't used to that kind of thing. So any, like, kind of pushback where it's not clear, absolutely clear where you need to go or what you need to do, and people may get disenchanted and just put the game down, and that's that. So I understand why most games don't do it, but when you come to indie games like Creature in the Well, you know, they're going to think their audience is a bit more willing to mess around and try things out on their own. And that's one of my favorite things about Creature in the Well so far. It really doesn't tell you what to do. It lets you, there's like an air of mystery to what's going on. There's an air of mystery to the entire game. So it's a theme that runs through it as far as the story goes and the gameplay mechanics and solving puzzles, and I really like that. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something. It makes me feel like I'm actually figuring things out, and I'm hoping that is an element that continues throughout the game. I imagine it's going to be because it seems like it plays into the overall theme of the game, but so far, man, I just really appreciate that it's willing to let you wander around and figure things out. The first hour of Creature in the Well is really interesting to me because while I was hyped up for this game from day one, I saw the first trailer and it was quote unquote weird, and I like weird games. I jumped into this game and I really didn't know how I was feeling when I first started playing it. I knew that the pinball mechanics were there and I knew it was dungeon exploration, but as I was playing the early moments, I was like, I wonder if this is going to work out. I wonder if this is going to hold my attention or be engaging. Because, you know, you think of, or at least I was thinking of, a pinball table, and there's bumpers and, you know, different highways and stuff for the ball to travel across, and you're like, how much can they really get out of the pinball mechanic before it becomes like a chore or feels bothersome? And the more I played into that first hour, the more it was really sinking in, the more I was seeing unique ways that it was used, and this is all within the first dungeon. It feels like the pinball mechanic isn't just like, here's a cool gameplay mechanic. The pinball mechanic is very crucial to the game's entire story and what's going on. So it's a core element of the game itself, not just the gameplay. It's not like, here's something unique and quirky to put in with the gameplay. It's important to the whole story that's going on. But yeah, I've been impressed with I guess I would say how it's grown on me. I didn't dislike it at first by any means, but like I said, I wanted to see how much they were going to get out of it. And so far, I've been really impressed. The more I played the game in that first hour, the more I was really into it. By the end of my first session with the game, I was like, oh man, this is really clicking for me. So it might, I don't want to say it's slow going in the beginning because it's not. It's just, it lets you, like I said earlier, it lets you feel your way around, and I like that. So the game just grew on me, and after that first session, I was like, man, I really can't wait to get back into this game. I also want to point out what I'm thinking is going to be a theme with the soundtrack. The sound is very ambient, and it's not, like traditional, like looping tunes or anything that you might expect. The sound design is very unique and it fits the atmosphere of the game. It's not something you're going to put on your iPhone and be like, I can't wait to listen to this later because it's not that type of music. But I'm noticing, or at least I think I'm noticing something interesting. I don't want to get into too much detail about why this is, but you play through the first dungeon, and then I just quickly went into the second dungeon, and they both had the same song, but from what I think is going on, the second dungeon song is a more layered version of the song from the first dungeon. So, like, you're adding into the main theme of that dungeon. I don't know if that's going to continue throughout all the dungeons, and I haven't started. I was in the first room of the second dungeon. I just listened for a bit, so I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the song. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I hope it continues that because I really like the idea of the theme being built upon as you go through the game, adding more layers and more instruments and more intricacy to this overall tune. I love that idea, and that plays into the story as well, which again, I don't want to ruin those details. I'll get into that at a much later date, but I'm excited to see what happens. That happened in A Link Between Worlds, I want to say. There was a song towards the end of the game, I think in the final castle, where, man, I don't remember. I believe you were going through floors, either up or down floors, I don't remember. And each time you got to a new floor, you would hear the same song, but with new elements added to it. Some trumpets or some people singing, and it just kept adding and layering onto that tune, and I really like that. So that seems to be what's going on here. I'm not positive, but I'm excited to see if that does play out. So there's some thoughts on Creature in the Well. I will be back with a full video review when I am allowed to show you a video review, which is not today. I'm very excited to get back into the game. I'm very excited about where it's going. There's a ton of potential here. I'm having a great time. It's got a very unique vibe. I love everything that's going on, so fingers crossed it continues like this. But that's it for today's video. So thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting. It's very much appreciated. Also, a huge thank you to our Patreon members, because you guys supporting me on Patreon lets me do what I do. GoNintendo.com, the Twitter, the Facebook, this YouTube channel, the podcast. It helps me do all of those things. So I can't thank you enough for your support. It is a lovely thing to see. So thank you to those of you who have kicked in some cash. I appreciate it. If you want to learn more, there's a link in the description. I will be back tomorrow with some kind of video. I don't know what. Who the hell knows? We'll see. We'll see where the day takes me, but I will bring you something. So until then, have a lovely day and a lovely evening, and I'll see you in a few short hours.